Hi, welcome to Clutter Bravado.
Yes, and it's the energy. It's not just about the stuff.
So we should probably just get into it, right?
Let's go.
Good morning, Laurent.
Good morning, Elyse.
How are you?
I'm well. Live from our studio in Los Angeles. This is Clutter Bravado.
Ooh, I like that. Are you going to do that more?
I've been practicing.
Ooh, you did great.
Thank you.
Yeah. How have you been? How are you doing?
Good. It's Easter Monday.
It is Easter Monday. I didn't realize that that's a holiday. I knew it was the Sunday and like the Friday before. But has it always been that we've celebrated it on the Monday after?
I don't know. I think it's just like a long weekend because Good Friday, and then some people take Monday. But I don't know that I don't know how much of a holiday it is today.
Yeah.
Last week was good.
Last week was great. It was really nice, actually. The episode that we put up last week went so well.
Well, it's interesting. For me, it's a little complicated. But, obviously the news is busy right now. And I'm following it
Whatever do you mean, Laurent?
too much. Or not enough, depending on how you want to look at it. But nevertheless. And so a funny tidbit last week was that the American delegation went to France, Paris, to talk about Ukraine.
Oh.
And during that meeting, one of the... And trust me, there's a link to the episode last week.
Okay.
The American, I think, diplomat is at the Elyse, the Palais, 18th century.
Yeah.
Private home, home of the French president. I mean, you can imagine what
Built in the 1700s.
level of refinement.
Yes, absolutely.
And manages to say it looks like Mar-a-Lago. Now, this is funny, problematic.
Okay. Yes.
There's just a lot of things to look at.
Yes.
There's also politics aside.
Okay.
I got to think about it because it is such a preposterous statement that I'm like, that's one part of that. The statement is some Americans who compare, look at whatever we do in Europe and France and Italy and not really understand it. Mm-hmm. Now, there's another side to it.
Okay.
Is France and in France mostly, I can speak of France, has supported their artists, their history, their contemporary designers to a level that is exceptional, which we don't do here.
Yeah. And
And that's where my mind went, is that I'm like, everything that we do in France to support, and granted that, the Mathieu Lehner, are deserve it. I mean, those people are exceptional artists, exceptional designers. We've done that through the 18th century, the 19th century, the 20th century, and we keep on doing it in the 21st century. We, the kings have supported all the makers of, the 1700s. That's why we have so many incredible chateaux and craftspeople and furniture, and that we flock to the Louvre or the Musée des Arts Décoratifs to look at, really like chefs-d'œuvre. That's because the state and local states and the government have supported that part. And here we don't. And yet, since we started that podcast, we've interviewed some incredible artists, some incredible designers. Yeah. We have... This coming one is an incredible couple, someone who is completely passionate about what he does, is pushing the envelope, and I feel like we don't support that part enough here.
Yeah, I feel that, and I think the thing that really stands out to me. So first of all, for an American to compare French architecture with Mar-a-Lago. For anyone who's listening and doesn't understand how preposterous that is, Mar-a-Lago and a lot of our current administration's design taste, their aesthetic is based on a very bastardized version of
very bastardized
version of 18th century French design.
Right.
And you've taught me a lot about that, actually. We've recently had some very extensive conversations about what 18th century furniture, like the way that it evolved and how it evolved also with the kings that were in power at the time. And then like how it transformed when Napoleon took power and how it transformed from there. And there are so many things about that I learned from you, which I'm really grateful for. But not a lot of people have access to that knowledge. And to not be able to tell the difference between a really, I can't say anything besides bastardized version of that. And you know what the original looked like. It's really heartbreaking, I think. And it's kind of like hearing the cover of or hearing the original of a song and saying like, oh, that sounds just like the cover that I'm familiar with, where it's a little heartbreaking. It's a little heartbreaking.
It was a little heartbreaking.
But also, you know how I'm on TikTok all the time. Mm-hmm. There was this hilarious video where they were looking at some of the recent footage that's coming from the Oval Office, and on the mantle behind where they're sitting, there are new, very gold looking flourishments that have been added. And there was someone who did a deep dive on that and was like, that doesn't look like it's been there for very long. It looks new. But it doesn't look like it was, like, it looks like it was just tacked on. And they found it on Amazon, and it was a plastic piece that you can spray paint and stick onto anything that you want. And again, for someone to sort of compare that to 17th or 18th century French design hurts my heart.
It did. I mean, as a French guy, it was funny. Because I am, it was funny, but it hurt my French sensibilities, but it also hurt my American sensibility, because I am, I've been here for so long that I'm like, what is wrong with it? And I think that what is wrong with it is like cooking or design or art, it's like it's a lack of education, it's a lack of support.
Yeah.
It's a lack of, making those things a little bit important in our society. And I think that we've focused so much on, I don't know, making money for the sake of making money, that we have forgotten what life is about a little bit.
Yeah, and the appearance, like we care so much about the aesthetic and the final result of what something will look like, without paying attention to all of the details and everything that goes into having it made. I feel like it's the same thing with food.
Right.
Where you want something that's good. Like I want a lasagna. I don't care what went into it. I don't care how it was made. I don't care what the ingredients are. I want something that reminds me of lasagna. And you can get that. And you can get it for very cheap. And it's not going to feel the same as spending the hours making it, of knowing all of the ingredients that go into it, to growing the ingredients that go into it. And I feel like it's the same thing with design, where if you want a sofa right now, you can go on Amazon and buy a sofa.
Right.
You don't know what it's made of. You don't know who made it. You don't know how long it's going to last. And in 2 years, it's going to end up in a landfill. But you want the aesthetic of having that sofa, and it creates this big vacuum. And I think in America, we don't have the connection to the process, to the makers, to the artists, to the creativity that goes behind the design of something. And I think that even in the amount of time that I've been working on this podcast with you and talking to designers and talking to craftspeople and artisans, there is so much that I've learned about like how the sausage is made, how, like what actually goes into that light fixture that is the showstopper of your room, like the thing that makes it really stand out. Why does that stand out? It stands out because it is well made, because it is made with materials that are sourced responsibly, or that the design behind it has a concept, and that there is a person that has a thumbprint on it. And speaking of, our guest today is really good at that. Like you can look at something that he's created and you can tell that he made it. There's a thumbprint or a signature about what he creates that really makes it specifically John Pomp. And so our guest today is John Pomp. And also we have a very special guest. His wife, Ann Pomp, joined at the end of the interview. And honestly, this was one of my favorite interviews to do. I loved having them on the show. We were at the DeSousa Hughes Showroom in San Francisco, and having the two of them sitting together, like she's basically sitting on his lap, like they're sitting in a chair together.
They were
It
incredible.
was so lovely, and you can just tell how passionate they are about what they do. And while you have John, who is in a lot of ways the creative mind behind things, and he's the one that's like, what if we did this? To take an idea from this, like, what if we did this, into the actual execution of it, I feel like Anne has so much of a role in that. And the two of them work incredibly together. They have a family, and they also have this big, giant warehouse space that we talk about a lot in the interview. That is where they do everything. And it's this lab, this creative studio that they're able to workshop ideas and try out new things. And they have a team of something like 50 people that are all in there in this incubation space of creative ideas. And so I really loved chatting with them. And I think that this is a perfect example of really valuing the creative process and everything that goes behind making something that stands out and that has its own personality. And yeah, I think that we should probably just get to it. Yeah?
We should get to it.
Yeah?
Let's go.
Well, let's get started. Hi. Welcome. I'm so glad all of you showed up today. My name is Elyse Czizek.
I am Laurent Rabuffel, as in Larry, for people who can't
No one
pronounce
calls
Laurent.
you Larry.
See, no, a lot of people do call me Larry.
Ooh.
You've heard it.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, we are the co-hosts of Clutter Bravado. We are an interior design and lifestyle podcast. We're fairly new. We just started. I encourage you to follow us, and you'll be able to see this interview and all the other interviews that we've conducted on our Instagram, on Spotify, anywhere you find your podcasts. And today, we are here with John Pomp, incredible designer.
Hi. I don't know
artist.
about that incredible, but
It is.
Oh, come on.
We
but
know
John
it.
Pomp, I don't have the beautiful name. Oh my God, just rolling off his tongue. So I'm like, oh, John Pomp.
It's great.
Yeah,
It's great.
all right.
I mean, your name is fantastic. Your work is fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Yes,
Thanks.
and also your personality. I'm really happy that I get to like share this time with you, and that we get to do it in front of all these beautiful people.
Yeah. I always say in these kinds of things, I find it like a real privilege to be able to share what I love to do. It's, when I wake up, like I get to design beautiful things and make them. Like,
It's pretty
it's a
sick.
privilege.
Yeah.
It's a total dream for me. So,
I
to
mean,
be able to come here and talk and right? And
Yes,
share
absolutely.
it. Like, how cool is that?
It's so cool. So I want to talk a little bit about your work before I ask you about your work. So I'll just tell you about it.
Yeah.
If that's fine.
Yeah. Let's fact check. Let's fact
Amazing.
check it.
We'll fact check.
Okay.
So you have an incredible workshop. It's a creative compound in Philadelphia.
Yep.
So 65,000 square feet
Yeah.
of creativity happening under one roof. You
Yeah.
have 50 people working with you, and
Yeah.
you are creating some really, really unique pieces that are really identified as yours. Like, this is your
Yeah.
signature.
I own it.
Yeah.
I own whatever I make. I design and draw and make it. I have to own it from
Yeah.
like raw goods to finished product. Like I have to own every part of the process. Otherwise, I don't feel that has like integrity.
Yeah.
It has
Yeah.
like my name, and I kind of grew up in that place and that time where like you say what you're gonna do, and you like, you are your name, and you are the product is me, and so it has to be at that level.
So I discovered you
Yeah.
not long ago.
Okay.
I walked into a showroom in the Pacific Design Center in Los Angeles. We're based out of LA.
Okay. Great.
I walked into Thomas Lavin. Somebody handed me a tote bag that had your really cool logo on it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I can use
Pump
this all the
swag.
time.
Okay.
Right? A little swag. So
Okay.
I immediately have swag. I'm like, okay, well, I have to check out this work. Oh my God, I was blown away.
Oh.
And walking into this showroom when we came to DeSousa Hughes for the first time, seeing this entire area that you have in the back over there, I'm like, this is so unique, and this is so like specifically yours. I love that you put your thumbprint on everything. It is using glass, using metal, and really creating this like molten, living, liquid feeling of like in all of your work. And so I want to ask you a weird place to start off. Okay,
Yeah.
well,
No, it sounds good. No. Yeah.
How do you know when it's done?
Oh, that's just the feeling, right? Isn't that like the eternal question? Like, even for all these designers in the homes, and like, how do you like edit and like stop and like that's it? And it's the moment, it's a feeling, right? And I think we all have that in the creative process. So,
because you have, I mean, for everything that you have, there's no like, I'm sorry if I'm still talking. Okay, there's no like. Everything is so affected by the environment, it feels like your idea, your creativity, you're pouring glass.
Yeah.
And there are bubbles in it, and there's texture, and it doesn't feel like there's this like absolute precision. It has to be exactly like this or it's not perfect. There's so much of a personality to it. So tell me more about how your process unfolds when it comes to creating something like that.
You know, it's very nonlinear. I think with the way I describe what we do is that I started as just a young artist that fell madly in love with molten glass and devoted my whole life to it. So I didn't really know what I was going to do with it. But I started as like a sculptural glass artist. And so where you see us today is inside of a very, it's basically an artist practice living inside a artisan manufacturing scaled system infrastructure. So you had mentioned like it feels really organic and natural and process driven, which it absolutely is. And then you say it doesn't feel so exacting, but it is though, which is cool because I think that's the dichotomy of who we are, is that we have a small team of engineers. So whenever you order that thing that looks very natural and like gestural and sculptural, make no mistake, it'll be within tolerance every time. So whenever you receive it, it's gonna be to spec to like, obviously our metal capabilities and tolerances are within obviously 10,000ths of an inch. And so, and the level of like systems and manufacturing, like, even all the drawing sets for like one table, they're like 60 pages deep. It doesn't look like that, and it shouldn't. It doesn't matter, but that's how you do it accurately and repeatably with a team of artists and craftspeople. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And then the client's like, that's what I got on that drawing to that size, but it just feels like it was made by a group of artists.
Yeah. It feels like it
was.
just happened that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
With the way you say that, when I know that the piece like is right, it feels like it made itself.
Yeah, I can sense that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you dream it, though, I mean, when you conceptualize what, because you're not precise then, right?
You know what? You're right. I think it's more about, it's fairly close-ish, and I think it's more of like, you dream up like, I'm just kind of capturing moments in time and freeze framing them in the process, and you're right. It feels like a fingerprint. It feels like a unique moment of like an artist practice, which it absolutely is. And so you're right. It's not exactly as I draw, like maybe like an architect might. I think I draw it, and I do draw, right? I'm a little old school, right? But I do draw it like a sculptor would. Right. And so it has, and you leave it open-ended enough to when you do material explorations and studies on that drawing, you're open to like where it could go and develop into.
And since I'm a little older than you are, so a lot older than he is.
Oh no, get out of here, please.
You
We're
caught
both
me.
hiding it
You
really
caught
well.
me.
No.
And I understand that there's the concept of the computer and the but it's like handwriting. When you handwrite a poem or when you don't type it, it feels to me, or handwrite a letter, it feels to me that there's a certain amount of brain, the creativity. Do you think that the fact that you hand draw makes you more creative, makes you...
Oh, for sure. Because for sure. And thank you for attending to that, because I think that's a little bit lost now.
Right.
And yes, it absolutely translates. Because when we go back, it's funny, we have an initial conceptual sketches, and maybe there's 80 sketches, and I go back to that one, hand it to the team, and then we ideate and then we put it into CAD, and then develop it and scale it and all that. And then it's funny because after you go through the process, we go back and we have a finished piece, which is weeks long and months long, and sometimes even it's non-linear, so some of the pieces come really quickly, and then people write songs it just happened in really a couple minutes, or some of them I had pieces in development that took over a year and a half.
Yeah.
And I just tell the team whenever it's ready, it's ready. But to your point, we go back and we finish the piece, and then we go back and I look at the original conceptual sketches. God damn, it's really close. It just feels like it. It's maybe not exactly exact, but I think it just feels that gesture of what, in that essence of what that little loose, action sketch is.
So glass blowing and glasswork was not initially where you thought you were going to land. It was somewhere that you found yourself. Can you tell us a little bit about that story?
Oh my God, I am everything that I never thought I was gonna be. True, and 3 times over.
Yeah.
3 times over. And I think that's great, and I think that's
What was
a blessing.
it before?
So, when I grew up, and I'll just do it really quickly. I don't want to bore a whole backstory, but I'll just tell you to answer that question. I grew up in a really small, dying steel town in western Pennsylvania, and my father was just a worker and craftsman and worked in steel mills all of his life, and he built and made me toys and things for my mother in the kitchen, and eventually he was ultimately a carpenter, and he just made things with his hands and ultimately built a home. So in the back of my mind, coming full circle, when I look at all that, I am everything that is, except I was fortunate enough with that background to be okay, I like to do things with my hands. I was fortunate enough to have an amazing mentor in my life, and I've had many, but really one of those angels that just magic, the right place, the right person at the right time that completely changes your life, and I'm forever grateful. And this is my art teacher in high school, and to this day he is one of my closest friends, and in fact he married my wife and I, Anne, my partner.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, so what a blessing to have those special people in your life.
Yeah.
And so basically I kind of just grew up a little bit of a troubled kid, as some of us are, right? I look like a bit of a troublemaker, right? A cleaned up, reformed
I'm not gonna lie, you look like you're a bit of a menace. Yeah.
It wasn't looking too good in high school, let me just say. It was not, the past were not looking good. But fortunate enough to have a really important person who just came to my high school, just graduated art school. He was a multimedia sculptor, worked in a lot of different materials, and he actually did some glass. I'll come back to that. But we found each other. He saw something in me that nobody else saw in my entire life, in and outside of my home, which is really that's a blessing, right? And I just started to paint, draw, all of it, because I love drawing and painting and being creative, and my dad made stuff, but I wanted to kind of express some stuff, and so I even during high school I apprenticed outside of high school with him in his studio art practice. I mean, that was what I did in my free time on nights and weekends. Like, how cool is that, right? And so anyhow, but at that time, I really just loved painting. And I was doing a lot of non-rep, like action painting, and it just felt really good. That's how that process, like that intuition, that gesture that we were speaking about with the current work. And when and so it was fortunate enough, I just wanted to be a painter. I really loved it. I was doing huge, like 10 by 10 paintings in high school in the middle of a dying steel town, if you can imagine, right? Like,
wow, yeah.
How wild is that?
Wow, yeah.
So very fortunate to have just one person, right, make a difference. So I was fortunate enough, I got a body of work together, put a portfolio together, and I got a scholarship to Columbus College of Art and Design. And so, again, that's my formal design background, like very linear, right, precision. And we were picking out a class schedule, and he was helping me out my second year, and he was like, oh, you should try glass. And I was like, glass blowing, like, what is that? I don't know, like window glass, like how does a kid imagine what that is? Like, I knew he had done some glass, but I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that is. And I was like, I don't know, I just want to paint. I just like paint. I want to feel. I like feeling the paint and moving and all that. So anyhow, I was like, okay, yeah, I'll take this class, whatever. And so I took a glass blowing class, and a lot of us might have had the wonderful opportunity to be able to touch living molten glass. And when I touched living and molten glass, it was magic. It was like it was just like electric. It was. And then at that moment, within those moments, I was like, this is what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. I don't even know what that is going to be or what that looks like. I don't even care what I might make. If I felt like, when I felt madly in love with glass and I devoted my whole life to it, I just thought that, well, wow, if I can do that and feed myself for the rest of my life, like, I made it, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, fuck, like, right? Like I watched all of my whole town and like suffer and not find passion and love and the joy of making in that way. So fortunate, and so that just set the course, and I just devoted my whole life to like molten glass, and it felt like my favorite things that I've ever gotten to do, or that I loved at that time in my life. And so I was like, of course I grew up in the 80s, and I was like a skateboarder and a skater, an avid skater back, like old school, right? And it was that and action painting all in one. Blowing glass.
Okay.
Because of the physical part of it?
You're right. It's the physical, it's the timing, it's flow states.
Flow states, yeah.
It's the moment where you find yourself and you lose yourself, and then you just stand up and there's something there, and it's like really beautiful. And
so there are some people who get into glass blowing or get into glass, and they make very fine little things, or they make little beads.
Sure.
And the amount of glass that you are working with is substantial, we could say. So there's, some of these, for those of you that haven't seen any of John Pomp's work or not familiar with it, this chandelier right here, the radiant chandelier, this is his. And then the very, very thick, beautiful, solid glass dining tables, or a dining table in the back.
Smallish.
Small. This thing is, I don't know that I've seen that much. No. Thick glass. It's huge.
I haven't. I've been making glass for over 30 years. And I've never seen a glass table, a solid glass table in that scale.
Are you the only one who is capable of making that size?
Listen, I don't.
In the U.S.
I believe so.
Yeah. Wow.
I'll say that, and let me tell you this: it's cool that it's big or whatever it is, but what's most important is that when I fell in love with glass when I was a 20-year-old. I wanted to make everything in my home of glass.
Oh, yeah.
So how cool is that?
Yeah.
So listen, I don't know how I was going to do that. And then 30 years later, and you build a team, and you're so fortunate to have people kind of like what you do and buy your stuff. You get to work with a lot of amazing artists, and then you have a lot of like creative and making might, right?
Yeah.
And so like, okay, so it was about 4 years ago. I was like, okay, we were making some like cocktail tables, but I was like, oh, we got to do dining tables. So how do you do that? How do you make a solid cast glass table that's 12 feet long in one piece that weighs 1,500 pounds? And so you have to put your engineer hat on, and you have to like reverse engineer the process. So I think what we do in our studio is that we don't really design product as much as we design process.
Yeah.
And so again, that's that artist practice. So then in part of that, you have to be like a bit of an alchemist, like all of us artists are, right? And you have to like make tools and develop them. So basically, we designed and engineered like a 20 foot long kilns that are raised and lowered by adapted car lifts, and just to like handle these like 1,500 pound tables. So we designed, engineered, and built like a fleet of kilns, and we have several of them in the facility.
Wow.
And now we can like dream up of making some like really cool glass shit, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That doesn't exist.
Let's call
Yeah,
that's
like,
what,
that's
that's
what
exactly
it
what I
is.
like. Really cool glass
Yeah.
shit. Yes, it's
That's-
really cool.
But I'll
It's
be
going to be
honest
the
with
next
you. That's what,
book.
that's what my 20-year-old self is saying.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
myself, and that's what it is.
And
like,
you really have a relationship with that part of yourself. The
Yeah.
part of you that feels free when you are action painting and when you're skateboarding, like that.
Yeah.
It's really obvious in
and
a lot
now
of your
surfing.
pieces.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is
yeah.
that. And
now
I think
surfing,
it's
yes.
like, I think it's important, like any like good mid-career artist comes full circle in their lives, and it's
Oh, for sure.
It's important to like understand your past, live, and look at your future, and to define the present. And and when you do that, or when I'm doing that, like I'm reflecting on all those years, and I'm like finding myself again in a very more in-depthful way than I ever had thought I understood who I was and what I've done and what I care about and what matters to me. And so when you do that, it's easy to like redefine yourself and reinvent yourself,
Yeah.
because it all started right there. I think sometimes we all kind of like lose our way a bit and look outwardly and look at other places, but no, make no mistake, the answers are right here. And so when I'm like critically looking at good and bad things that I've done throughout my artistic career and my creative self, like I'm able to like take all the great things that make me who I am and how I was built, and then reinvent and redefine what that is now.
Can I get deep with you?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Maybe that was too deep for everybody.
No. I love how deep you're
Okay.
going, and I'm about to
No.
bring you a little bit like, let's
Yeah.
not. Okay. So in that process of reinvention and in fine tuning and refining where you are going, there are inevitably going to be some things that you're going to be cutting back. So from the things that you've done so far in like your professional career,
Right.
what is it that you're leaving behind as you start to move forward?
Oh, editing out of my life, you mean?
Yeah.
Editing out of my like work life or professional life?
Yeah, all of it.
Editing is important. I think that now, I think this showroom, just to like, this beautiful new showroom, I like walked in with fresh eyes and like high level of editing. I think when you look at a lot of very mature artists in their careers, there's a high level of editing and art direction that experience has, right? And I think that I love to let things go. I don't like to look backwards. So I'm cool with like letting it go. And like, I spent my whole career like devoting my life and wanted to blow glass and just touch it every day. I let that go. That's okay. But what do I gain? Look what I can do. I can't do all that by myself.
Yeah.
I got 50 people. Look what I can do now.
Yeah.
So you gotta let go.
Yeah.
And redefine yourself and, and learn to be new things.
How was that process when you moved from Brooklyn? Because your space was small, right?
Yeah.
How was that? Because that takes balls to
Yeah.
move from Brooklyn to a huge space.
Well, you know what? The first step of that process was, everybody in New York, when I was there, I started the business in '99, and I was doing like accessories, and then I kind of became like the cool glass guy to go to, and we were making lighting in early 2000s, and so people were coming to us, and we were in the cool neighborhood in Brooklyn, and I was actually on the cool street, the whole thing, right?
It's all really cool. That was just like really cool.
I just happened to get a little lucky, right?
Yeah.
Be in the right place in the right time.
Exactly.
And so that I was fortunate. Then I was making glass for so long and these beautiful objects that I was like, oh man, glass is nothing without light. It's nothing. So you have to control your own light source. So in the end, it was easy transition to get into lighting in the early 2000s. I was doing lighting in 2001. And then after all those years in making glass and, I decided to relaunch the company, reinvent myself in 2008. And I rededicated my artist practice and the business into a lighting company. And so I launched the lighting company in 2008 and ICFF. And I just on a whim, the show director knew me and knew I was doing some kind of cool stuff, right? And she's like, "Oh, I have this massive space. Somebody pulled out." And again, this is 2008, right?
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, let's all take that in.
Yeah.
How fun was that? But
Wow.
then, balls, right? So I was like, "Yeah, I'm in. I got it. Yeah, I got a whole collection." No, I have nothing.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Sure. You'll figure it
design
out.
One, and
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. And so I had 3 or 4 months to fill a massive corner booth at in the front of the show at ICFF. And so we put together a collection, designed it, and made it and created it and displayed it. And I will tell you, and it's cool, I love being here because last night and having a beautiful dinner with DeSousa Hughes and Erik and Jeff, I've come full circle in my career because at that show I was fortunate to have a lot of people be interested in kind of what we were doing at that show, and Erik and Jeff found me and approached me, and so did a lot of others, and I really took my time with what who I wanted to kind of align myself with, and the kind of people they are, and and what kind of showroom and what they do, and I attribute a lot of our success, and I was like, they were our first showroom for our lighting collection.
They scared you. Geoffrey scared you.
Erik, Jeff, is that 2000? The show was 2008. And so I think we joined and we started the whole collection right here in 2009.
Wow, yeah.
How cool is that? Wow, what a privilege, and I'm so fortunate to have these guys see something in what we do and foster and nurture it. And I think these guys also have been mentors early in our business and showing us the ropes, and how cool is that?
Yeah, and the showing you the relationships are so important in this industry, period. An artist who's trying to put their work out there needs somebody who's going to advocate on their behalf, who's going to give them the platform, and be willing to sort of tell your story and really showcase your art in a way that you feel that's accessible to the client.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But then it's also something that's going to be intriguing for those who who just view it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think when you know these guys, you trust them, and they're great editors and your curators, and they're just great people.
Yeah.
And I trusted them with who I was and what I did. And that's an important part of it, not just putting it in the showroom and then maybe it'll sell, or
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah. Is there anything
cool.
that they've pointed out that they're stop doing that?
Jeff? No, he would never know. But no, that's good.
Of course,
there's
it's
things.
so
there
necessary.
There has to be things, right, Erik? And of course, that's part of it.
Yeah.
And that's part of learning, and I'm good with that. I'm very open and transparent, obviously, right? And that's just I think we need to have more of that in our lives and not pretend talk. And I think that's just constructive, because then I'm able to like learn and grow and have healthy people around me telling me the things that I need to hear. And that's my wife now, and I surround myself with people in my organization and in my business and personal life that like that have that.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, surrounding yourself with yes people is not helpful for an artist at all.
No.
And can oftentimes be something that's like more detrimental than anything else. You need people that are going to push up against your ideas. Yeah.
And like, who am I? Like, whatever. Like, it's just whatever's going to serve the work. Like, I don't care. In our studio, we have like an ethos, and I was like, best idea wins. Like, I don't care if it's from anybody in the design department or like in the sanding area, like whatever, I'm good with it. But like that's what that is, and I think I've led my life. You know, I learned early on like surround yourself with people you want to be more like, and that's easy. When I felt the power and the impact of like a mentor, like I had mentioned in high school, and like my wife, like when I met her, I just want to be more like her. That's easy.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Like that's an easy
And
decision.
it's amazing. Can we do a quick shout out for Anne? Because she's like fantastic. Like a quick little round of applause for Anne Pomp. We love her.
And obviously, as we know in the business, like Anne's really the boss.
I
right?
mean, truly.
Which is good.
Yeah.
It shows.
I was thinking about it before you came up here. I was like, can we?
I'm a puppet here. Yeah.
I'm like, can we get another mic for Anne? We love her.
We're gonna be seeing more of Anne soon.
Yeah, whenever you guys are able to come to LA, we would love to have both of you on the podcast at the same time at the Kimberly Denman showroom when we normally film. But yeah, we'd love to have you there.
Would love it. It's like I think it's important that everybody knows that. I'll be honest with you. I tell my team at like we have big team meetings, and I tell them like it's hard for me to like come out here and like take credit for all this because like the company is the product and I don't make it anymore now. Like, and so I think it's really important that we all know that it's everybody. It's 50 of us. It's a team of engineers, designers, accounting department, right? You know, all the way from expert metal fabricators and glass blowers to like assembly technicians and like, yeah, it's real.
That has to be really interesting when you have so many people that are working on behalf of your dream and your creative vision.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like sometimes you lose the reins a little bit, or do you feel like it's something that you are able to really still feel connected with? And how are you able to keep that connection with your team so that you're always on the same path?
Oh. That comes with that part that we were talking about with like systems. So I think people kind of like might meet me for the first time and like, you know, like artist guy, which is cool, and then I'm creative and whatever. But the other part of who I am is very much like my father, which is like builder engineer. And so I think that's the stuff that doesn't always get presented. And so there's a high level of engineering. And, you know, and obviously in manufacturing, it's all about shop floor control. And that's just like clear direction to support the team to be able to make and deliver all of this work at the highest level.
Yeah.
And so that's how we keep on the same page, because they call it an organization for a reason, right? You got to be organized.
Got to be organized.
And it has to be like. And so, yeah, there's a lot of meetings, cross-functional team meetings, and there's a lot of, we have an ERP running the company in all areas from, like, material procurement, accounting, of course, like accounting functions, all the way to scheduling, planning, and production planning. Like, it's all, like, tied us all together. Like, and again, I'm not reinventing the wheel. These are just systems inside of, like, how do you make handmade Ferraris or Lamborghinis at that level? You do it with high level like manufacturing systems, but we're just doing it in an artist studio. That's all.
So, I mean, I absolutely love your product. So, Anne.
Yeah, Anne.
I would like to hear. Come.
Yeah, come.
No, I want to know
We're bringing
something
Anne up
because
for just a moment. For just a moment.
just for a little bit, because I've listened to John.
Oh, are you going to sit together? Or you can
There
sit here?
you go.
Oh, I love
Perfect.
it. Yeah.
Seated, for sure.
So I've listened to John talk, and he talks a lot.
Yeah.
How is it to have a day? What's a day like with him?
What's our day like? It's funny. We drive to work separately. So we
Really?
Yeah, we kind of have appreciated that we each need our own space in the morning, and we handle mornings very differently.
Yep.
So we drive separately. We don't get there at the same time, which I think we figured out over like maybe the past couple of years. We started doing that, and it's just better for both of us.
Yeah.
But we
I
share-
love that.
Yeah, it's kind of nice, right?
Yeah.
And we share an office where our desks face each other.
It's big office, like 1,500
Yeah.
square foot office, but we're connected, but we're also disconnected
Yeah.
because we have to divide and conquer. So that's part of it, right? And like I think we always talk about like how does like a couple work together, and, which is really like how does she put up with me, right?
I'm not disagreeing with that. Yeah, we've just like, we operate in our own spheres, and then there's cross-section. So we kind of each have our own teams to manage, and then there are certain things that we come together on. And we're very structured throughout the day with meetings and whatnot. So it's not, I love it. I honestly say I'm lucky because I feel like I'll have had like a whole nother lifetime with him because we work together, and I'm grateful for that.
How long have the two of you been together?
How long have we what?
Have you been together?
20 years this April.
Yeah.
And we worked together for 19, so.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So wait, your desks are facing each other. So every once in a while, do you just give them one of the?
Oh, I do.
I was gonna say.
Really angry. Yes, like of course.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
human,
of
right?
course.
There's
Oh, I
those
love it.
moments,
Thank you
He
for
seems
that
to be
honesty.
perfect. That's why we were asking.
No, and I think it's good, like you're like asking about it because like I think all of our businesses are like attempts for like high functionality, and like that's good, and we do work and at a very highly functional organization, but like that doesn't mean there's not difficulties or like and how do we manage a personal and a professional life together? That's very difficult, and that's a high level of like interpersonal relationship management. And I think that's exactly what Anne is speaking to. Like, when do you put on the hat, and when do you put on another hat, and when do you take it off? And when does she just put me in my place? Which is good. And I tell her, like, and she keeps things away from me, or this is the right time to talk to John about this. And
It's true. It's totally true.
That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work.
Yeah,
Anne's
I'm like-
amazing.
yeah.
I think part of the reason that this really works is fundamentally why we're together is like there are aspects of him and that I want to be more like, and vice versa. And that's just it creates this balance in our dynamic, which makes it work.
Yeah, that's that foundation of like a couple and like mutual respect and admiration, and I admire her. Like I wake up and I look at her or see something and I'm like, wow, like I want to be like that.
And in the house, have you designed furniture just for the house?
Well, it's funny you say that. Like I think all of the collections that I design are really just to furnish my house and my dream in my head. So
I like it.
It's really just that, right?
Yeah.
But that's what it
I
should
love
be,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Like that. It's just an expression of like wanting to make everything of glass or glass-like. Like we have a soft goods collection and a fold sofa, and it's not glass but it's gestural, and it's like soft materials, and glass is soft. And then we have like a full metalworking fabrication company, part of our business, and we just show materials in different transitory states between solid and liquid, and so that's just kind of like that's an expression of like how does a glassblower design like soft goods or metal, or through like seeing things like go from liquid to solid.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So I wanna move into our. So there are 3 questions. You're staying here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
No, it's
And
fantastic.
I love you're making her be here.
Oh,
Because,
I love it.
I couldn't get her to do this, so it's cool.
We put her on the
And
spot, put her on
she's
camera. It's
perfect,
great.
too.
Yeah, and
Fantastic.
Like, come on.
Yeah, she deserves the
Everybody
spotlight,
loves
and she's
Anne.
gorgeous.
She is the best.
We love it. Okay. Anyway, we have 3 questions that we ask all of our guests, and for especially the first question, I'm really excited to have both of you here for it.
Okay.
So, the first question we ask every guest on our podcast is, what is the messiest place in your home?
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's the kids' playroom in the basement.
Oh my God.
Just clean this with like 3 garbage bags full of stuff. But yes.
Oh, dude, I decked that place out too. Dude, it looks like a fantasy 80s arcade that I like lived. I have like arcade games and like LED lights and shag rug, and I made it a cool like. Because I designed it because we want our kids to like be there with their friends in our house, and I could see what the hell's going on. But yes, Anne's right.
And now it's just
like,
trashed.
it's constant up.
I love it. Okay, so my second question for you is, and either of you can answer this. When you first walk into a new space, what is the first thing that you notice?
Oh, how I feel.
Oh, okay. Is that like a touch feel or an emotional feel, like
you
the
all,
vibe?
We all know that, right?
Yeah.
Designers, right? Like
Yeah.
you just feel it. Like
So you'd
but
be
you have to
surprised.
be in tune with what you're feeling, and you might not know at the moment. And like I even visit like impeccably designed spaces, and I might know aspects of why I like it at the moment, but sometimes I reflect even a couple weeks after and be like, oh right, that's what I loved about it. You know, and
you know that.
even in this space, like I experienced this space, new showroom here, and like I appreciated and I felt the well-considered design is to have intention. Has a high level of intention in here, right? Like you feel there's a lot of negative space, and I don't want to embarrass the guys here, but like it is very well curated and edited, and the architecture and how it kind of like helps you feel the space and the product and the environment and the lights, and then even just like the tree. I was commenting like the trees.
I love the trees out there.
They just like
it's
I was
so
sitting
beautiful,
over
yeah.
there and I was just looking and I was like, you know what? They're really clever. They picked like this perched in the trees because I was just watching the shadows of the trees like flicker in the wind all over the floor and the sofa, and I was like, oh, that's a feel.
And they picked a rainy day today too.
Yeah.
So that it was not too bright. They're fantastic.
yeah.
I mean, there's no details here. That
Yeah. Oh, they
is-
curated the weather, made sure it rained.
What
Yeah.
about you, Anne? Because you nodded.
I mean, my obvious answer. I'm basic when it comes to this stuff, but it's lighting. Like
Yeah.
that's the first thing that I notice, and it's from being with John for so long. So.
And right, like we all know the power of like really good lighting. It's like lighting touches every object in the room. So it is like it has a feel. It's so evocative. Emotionally driven, and I think it comes back to like even for me with the fascination. Like I'll be honest with you, my love for like molten glass really is about my love for the fire and light.
Yeah.
And like I get to play with fire for the rest of my life. I'm in.
so
That
sick.
was so cool, right? But it's about that moment, and I think we all have that wonderment. And even when I see people, we do like VIP tours and little glass blowing experience, and they get to like touch that, and I get to see that again in them, and that's beautiful. But it's about the fire,
Yeah.
and it's the light, and I think we all have this like inherent like as humans like. You stare at the stars, like you like sit by the fire, like, and even in the urban environment, you're just like looking at the skyline, like it's all light. Those are the
Absolutely.
most beautiful moments, and even the sun setting over the ocean, and like that's all light. So like that's why I love lighting.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
why it helps, and also that stuff informs who I am and why I do what I do. And
I love that. Yeah. I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
And I'll ask this about the home, but I'm going to ask this about your workshop because we've talked a lot about it today. What is your favorite space in that giant, massive space?
The Fun Factory. Okay. This is
The Fun Factory. Yes.
This is
Okay.
an easy one. We have, so like I said, we have like a large manufacturing facility, but artisan manufacturing facility, but I have one room in the back up in the corner, and it's about 5,000 square feet. And it is, everybody calls it the fun space. Mm-hmm. And that's my product development space, where we like create models. We do a lot of foam models, physical modeling and sampling to get scale and proportion right, and it's just like a great place to like find and develop processes, and it's just like the mad laboratory that feeds that whole facility. And yeah, I mean, back during the pandemic, we like oh my god, like we were all what the hell's going on? Like, is this gonna go on forever? And my son wanted to learn how to skateboard, so we built a skate ramp in the back. And
Oh, that's sick.
yeah, and I have my
That's
vintage
so cool.
motorcycle collection in there. I have vintage motorcycles that I build, and I have I have a '79 Bronco that I just worked on. Whatever, I converted.
Can we talk about that privately afterward? Thank you.
I don't want.
I love it. No, I love a Bronco so much. Yes, it's literally my favorite.
I dropped in a 5-liter Coyote, supercharged Coyote, inside a '79 Bronco. It's
What?
like, yeah, yeah.
We have to talk about this. Has nothing to do with the design.
So the whole Bronco
Yeah.
is all patinaed, like
Oh, my
sunset
God.
patinaed. It's all original. It was sitting in Wyoming. Original owner. He owned the oil fields in Wyoming, and I like snatched it up, and I was like, we're gonna like put everything new inside the inside of it, but it's all original cloth seating, all original sun patina faded. It is gorgeous, but it is everything that the furniture is too. It's like all these metals are patinaed and show age and time, and it's modern and it's old, but also so is our collections are very much about like the past and the future, and yeah. So
Yeah,
anyway,
like what?
I'm
Yeah,
geeking
I love
out
it.
about car
No,
shit,
it's fine. We're gonna geek out about this together after.
And I'm like you. I'm like, what is he talking about?
Oh, here we go again.
Okay, but Anne, what is yours?
Oh, it's definitely that same.
That same room, yeah.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
the
that's so
skate
cool.
ramp is great. We have little go-karts in there too.
Are you kidding me?
I mean, it was the pandemic, and we have 2 little kids. So
Yeah.
we needed something to do because we were all going crazy. So we just kind of.
Yeah, go-karts about 65,000 square feet. Like it, you know what? I'll be honest with you. The facility is just like my dream shop. It's my like, it's like my playground. It's like my whatever you want to dream up and build, make, or do with any of those materials, you do in that space.
Yeah.
And I can now fuel. You know, like everybody kind of wonders, like, oh, why did you want it so big, or why did you want, or whatever it is. And like, I didn't really plan. I don't really care about money. It's just a resource. And once I understood that it's a really good resource to be more creative, then that's easy.
If I keep doing this podcast for long enough, and I'm 95 years old, and I'm going to interview a kid, and he's going to be like, Dad was fucking crazy.
Don't say that now.
Yeah, go-karts everywhere.
I love it. So, I mean, obviously it shows in the space that you have and the 2 of you, the work that you create is really it's a manifestation of the amount of joy, the amount of play that you have. And for the people that get to have this in their homes, I mean, they're truly, I mean, it's worth every penny. Truly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's so nice. But honestly, it's our privilege to be able to get up and like, I've fulfilled many dreams many times over in my career, and like what a What a privilege. Wow, how cool.
You're rad. Well, speaking of privileges, it's a privilege to have you on our podcast. And again, for everybody who's here, we have Clutter Bravado podcast. If you look up Clutter Bravado on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get a podcast, we're going to have the filmed version of this up on there, and then and little clips of it that will pick out your best moments and put it on Instagram, and especially you, Anne. And thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you, Erik and Jeff, and DeSousa Hughes team.